Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fight for Liberty show. Today, I am joined by a host of my personal podcast that I've gone on. It was a great time. Coffee Talks. We've got Leilani for Freedom here on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm excited to be here.
So you're moving up in the world. You got a new microphone. Last time I talked to you, you were interviewing for a job. How did that go?
I got the job. I'm really excited. The location is still being built, so I haven't started it yet, but I will be starting in the next month or so. So I can officially say I am a barber now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that is pretty exciting, and it's a management job at this barbershop, right?
So I decided not to take the management position. I felt like I just needed to kind of dip my toes into the water of barbering before I took the management helm.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can definitely respect that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are a barber, you are a dancer, you are a shooter, an outdoor enthusiast. What made you say, in the 12 minutes of free time that I have every day, I'm going to try to promote liberty, host a podcast, go on other people's podcasts, work on a presidential campaign, and then a gubernatorial campaign?
So my best friend last year told me, he was the one who got me into libertarianism. He told me that he was no longer going to vote libertarian. And the thing about that is that once we lose one libertarian, it's kind of like losing 10 libertarians. And I just kind of had this moment of spite in myself where I was like, I can't just not do anything about this. Mm-hmm. And so I immediately went on the Joe Jorgensen website, and that's where everything started. And I was like, I'm going to volunteer. And I just thought to myself, I'm just going to volunteer at one or two events, and that's going to be it. Right. And then that turned into me being the social media director, and here we are now.
Yeah, I can definitely relate on that one. I just showed up to a Larry Sharpe event about 4 days before the election, and spent from that moment to the election almost every waking minute with Larry. We were out flyering, we were handing out T-shirts, we were canvassing in Union Square, and then we were at the election day party. It was just 3 days of nonstop campaigning. We like to really rope people into stuff that they didn't ask for. It's a libertarian thing.
When you're a small party, once you get one person, unfortunately, that one person has to wear 10 hats. So you've just got to get those people rolling and get them moving and shaking, and you just got to get them going. And Alex Flores was that person who got me moving and shaking and going. And I did not expect to do all of the things that I'm doing now, but I'm here, and I've definitely learned where boundaries are. And that's the one thing I think that we need to teach people coming into this party is we need to have, while we can wear 10 hats, we do need to learn what boundaries are.
Right.
Yeah.
I am definitely getting a little bit better at that this year with the campaigns that I'm on and the different hats that I wear within caucuses and other things. I'm slowly but surely learning that you need to say no sometimes, because if you don't say no sometimes, then you've said yes to too many things, and you cannot do all of those things. And then you wonder why you haven't had time to work out or get a haircut or
Yeah.
sleep,
Yeah.
minor things like that.
Like I got asked to be on a gubernatorial campaign. Unfortunately, he decided not to run, which is sincerely unfortunate. But, that was kind of like I had to set up my boundaries, right? It's like if he decides to run, these are the things I'm going to do. If he decides not to run, I'm not going to do those things. And he decided not to run. And I had to, unfortunately, like say to everyone, I was like, these are the things I said I wasn't going to do, and I'm not going to do them. And that was like heartbreaking for me because those are things that I was passionate about and I was excited to get going on. But it's like I have to be realistic in the fact that I'm not going to be living in Arizona in possibly like the next 6 to 8 months. So I can't,
Ooh.
I can't be committed to something for the next 2 to 3 years if I'm not going to be here for the next 2 to 3 years. So it's like drawing those lines and those boundaries of being like, I have to start being realistic about being committed to something elsewhere.
Yeah. Where are you thinking about going?
University of Hawaii. So I'll be hopefully with the
Ooh,
Hawaiian LP.
nice.
Yeah, and the Hawaiian sovereignty movement.
All right.
Yeah.
Take me with you. That sounds like a great time.
I'm gonna need roommates. It's expensive out there.
This is true. We're working on that. That's one of the problems that I really want to actually solve for the Liberty Movement. Probably next year is all of the like remote working people that just do 80 different things for 30 different campaigns. I want to just have like a house somewhere in the middle of bumfuck nowhere that's like an 8-bedroom, 4-bath house that we can just all chill out in and live and exist, and we have like groceries and we have what we need and we have good internet and we're all just there and we don't have to worry about the campaign paying any of us because none of these campaigns can afford to pay any of us.
Yeah. That's kind of like my goal in life is to just, be like this political activist who just kind of never like leaves my house. I just do all these like podcasts and whatever, right? But I just live in the middle of like Kauai in the rainforest where no one can find me. Kind of like Adam Kokesh, right? Everyone knows he lives in Arizona, but no one knows where. And I just like have my little space and that's it. And like everybody has to go on some like Luke Skywalker trip to go find Yoda if they really want to find me. It's a calling.
Yeah, we'll show up and just like try to hand you an AR-15 and you'll just stare at us.
Just bring ammo and you will be welcome.
There we go. Yeah, honestly, I've always been more of a city person. I grew up in the country, and I didn't really like it. I didn't like being far away from people. I didn't like being 4 miles from the closest store. It's just inconvenient, right? And so I lived in New York City for quite some time, and I've bounced around. I spent 2020, I was all over, but I was in like Detroit, and I was in San Jose and San Francisco and Oakland, and some major cities throughout the country. And I'm really like this year, like through the COVID thing and the just accelerationist movement that's been happening lately, I'm kind of like maybe my prepper friends that wanted that cabin in the middle of nowhere, maybe they were right. There's something to the idea of being 150 miles away from the next human.
So I grew up on the reservation, and then after that, I moved to the city, and I lived on a reservation that was in the city, so that's not really saying a whole lot. And then after that, when I was 16, I started traveling for dance, and I traveled at least once a month, if not more. And I was just city to city to city to city to city constantly, and I loved that. I lived for that. I always thought I would be in some place like New York or LA, and that's where I would live, and I would just constantly be traveling for the rest of my life. Up until COVID came around, and I was very much stopped. And I spent a lot of time with my family and my best friend, and I realized like maybe I really like this slow, sedentary lifestyle. I don't really exactly like moving around so much. Maybe I kind of appreciate this. And that's when I really started to appreciate the finer things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly like sleeping on every single hotel bed and like rating them 1 to 10 with my best friend going, did you like the Embassy better or Hilton? Like, I don't remember.
Yeah, I did a lot of Airbnb traveling this past year. That I think is so between Airbnb and Uber, it has made traveling significantly better than it used to be. Because I had a very short little bit of traveling, like my very early adult years, like 16 through 18, really. And it was all like hotels and rental cars, and it was terrible.
So when I was traveling for dance, we would get super discounts on staying in the hotel that the competition was held at.
Mhm.
And then we would try to fit as many people as humanly possible in a hotel room and try to pay as little as possible for a hotel room.
Mhm.
And I'm not proud of that.
Yeah, I've definitely done some ungodly cramming in Airbnbs as well as hotel rooms. But we did some rough things in New Hampshire for Tulsi Gabbard's campaign. We had an Airbnb. It was a 3 bedroom, but 2 of the bedrooms were being occupied by these 2 women who were staying or were both from Europe and were, staying in New Hampshire for like a month and a half working on the campaign. And so they each had their own bedroom. And then between the other bedroom and the living room contained the other 7 people.
Oh God.
So there was a bed in the bedroom, there was a couch in the living room, and then there were 3 cots, an air mattress, and somebody on the floor. And then there was another dude who was sleeping in his car in the driveway of the house because he couldn't fit in the fucking house. And this was rented as like a 2-person Airbnb rental.
See, most Airbnb rentals have like some sort of like ring monitoring system. So that always confuses me how people get away with that.
This one definitely did not. This was a very ungive a fuck kind of person, and so there was not that. I did almost get in trouble because I was smoking weed on the porch, and our upstairs neighbors flipped the fuck out. But
You
that
know,
turned.
most of the time, people should just not care. But, freedom and liberty, who's heard of that? Like,
No, we can't have any of that stuff.
yeah,
Freedom is gross.
definitely not here. No,
No.
thank you.
No. Definitely not in. Well, I mean, New Hampshire has some freedom and just a little bit of liberty.
Just a little bit.
I mean, you don't have to wear a seatbelt. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, but I like to wear a seatbelt just because I personally don't like to die.
Right.
But
the
maybe that's like a
freedom to not
conspiracy.
have to, right?
Okay, that's
Like
fun.
the
That's fun.
idea of not actually having to put one on
The
just
idea
feels
of
better.
choice is the
Yes.
fun part.
Yes. And honestly, especially if you're working in politics, especially if you're like door knocking or canvassing or something like that, or just running errands, which is what I was doing a lot for my job. I was literally in the car for a quarter of a mile to a half a mile at a time, very, very, very regularly. So not having to put a seatbelt on was actually like I saved myself like hours a day of just not having to do this for like an hour because I was just in and out of the car literally hundreds of times a day. It was ridiculous. But so it's just nice. It's a nice feeling to not have to worry about it. That's
You know what's a freedom that I guess I don't think about a lot, but I think about when other people talk about it online that we have here in Arizona, that a lot of states are getting now is constitutional carry, just the right to carry without a
fucking
permit.
amen.
Like, we have that here in Arizona as long as you're 21 or if you're a baller. And you just, like, you can get a permit to carry. It's optional. You should so that you know the law, but like you don't have to. You can do your own research. And
There you go.
I think that's pretty awesome. Whereas like other states, Texas, who claims to be the freest state in the country, is like, no, you need a permit. Like, I'm sorry. I have a lot of things to say about that.
And they just voted to keep it that way, right?
Yeah,
Fuck Texas.
exactly.
They need Mr. Daniel Taxation is Theft Berman as their governor.
Hmm.
Um,
See, Utah recently just got constitutional carry, and there was another state who did as well. So they don't need permits.
mhm.
And, I'm just saying more states should hop on that train. Hawaii.
Unfortunately, Utah passed constitutional carry and then also tried to ban pornography in the
Yeah.
same month.
So here's the thing about Utah is they have a religion called Mormonism and Latter-day Saints. And I mean, I saw that and I was like, honestly, makes sense. Because like the majority of their population like agrees with that. And like I hate to say it, but like while I don't agree with that, and while like I'm sure like 50% of their population doesn't agree with that, 50% of their population does. And
You do make a good point there.
so like,
This is why democracy is shit.
yeah. And I can't say that wouldn't happen here in Arizona because we have the exact same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to go the other way and say, as much as I disagree with it philosophically, if there's something that somebody wants to go all religious crazy and ban, at least it's not a medicine. It's something that's like statistically proven to be detrimental to society. Like porn is bad for society. Like we can just objectively say that, as much as like none of us might give a fuck, but we can agree that like it's not a good thing.
My issue with it is that like religiously, the reason why you should oppose it is like because okay, that's a bad way to say that. Religiously, like you should not follow it because it's your religion. Like you should not watch that because like you are religiously opposed to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why like that's your choice to not do that. But don't oppose your religion onto anyone else.
Right.
Like if somebody else wants to make that choice, which that is what that is, right? But that's what they're doing and I sincerely do not agree with that. Like
yeah,
don't force your opinions or your religion or anything like that onto anyone else. I don't care what it is. If it's a medicine, if it's pornography, if it's literally anything.
Honestly, that's one of the things that inevitably pushed me away from the faith in general, was because in my personal opinion, I think it is impossible. I actually got into it with Reed Coverdale on the show like a week or two ago about this, because I said that I don't think it's actually possible to be a good Christian and a good libertarian. Because if you're a good Christian and you're reading it the way that it's written, you're supposed to be imposing your religion on other people. You're supposed to be spreading this stuff. You're supposed to be not getting to the point of Nineveh or Sodom and Gomorrah and letting your culture go to this like heathenistic rot. You're supposed to be moralistic and you're supposed to drive culture that way. And there is like a paleo libertarian, like really tiny gray area that you can fall into and have just the right opinions and be both a good libertarian and a good Christian. But it's really rare in my experience. And it's one of the things that really pushed me away from Christianity because I felt like I was a bad Christian because I don't want to force other people to be Christians. I don't want to make other people Christians. If they don't believe in that one random dude in the sky, like, all right, who gives a fuck?
So I had kind of the same opinion for the longest time, and that's honestly a lot of the same reason that pushed me to Judaism. Because Judaism, you don't proselytize, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't feel that pressure to go out and make the world this morally amazing place anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, for a long time, was this big divide for me. Like, there's a lot of this like orthodox content and everything else content. And it's like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I'm very much not orthodox. I can't be something that everybody wants me to be. I have to be myself. But within the other movements, there's a lot of choice and a lot of freedom,
Such
which
a
has a
shocking discovery.
right? But there's a lot of choice and there's a lot of freedom, which I value as a libertarian. So like I found a space where my values aligned with what I was feeling at the moment. And so that's where I feel like I am. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I feel like you and I, like we were feeling the same thing for a moment, and then we just kind of diverged.
Yep. Yeah, I went east, and you went to.
You went east, and then I went like very hella north.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I definitely thing that I really want to do, and I've been wanting to do on the show for quite some time, and will do hopefully over the summer, and I'd love for you to be a part of it, is I want to get like you and then like Richard Manzo, who is a Taoist at an active libertarian in New Hampshire, and then like Ricky Harrington, who is a prison chaplain and a very active libertarian Christian, and like just have a discussion on the what role religion actually does play in politics and how we as libertarians can have more diversity of thought than literally any other group possible. I was listening to Dave Smith's episode, I believe it's from today or yesterday, with Robbie the Fire Bernstein, and he was talking about how the fact that we live in a culture where Christian and atheist can just go get a drink together and that's normal is crazy. Like, because those two that difference isn't a minor thing. Like, one person actually believes that the other person is going to burn forever in eternity, and the other person believes that guy is an idiot, like, or delusional, like, at best, right? And we're still live in a culture where we're able to just kind of put that to the side.
Well, for a long time, I was doing a YouTube show with a Norse pagan. And, as, a Jewish person, a lot of people we were very outright about our religion. Like, he has a YouTube channel about Norse paganism, and I'm very like outspoken about how I'm no longer Christian. And it was like a lot of people, like, we bonded over the fact that we were both no longer Christian. And a lot of people were like, how does this work? You're Norse pagan and she's Jewish. And we're just like, we bonded over the fact that we're both no longer Christian. And we both love Star Wars. And we both love libertarianism. So, That is what that is.
That's the best part of that. You bonded over Star Wars.
Oh, I bond with a
That's-
lot of people over Star Wars.
Star Wars is just such a great bonding thing.
It's just space libertarianism. That's all it
It
is.
really is. Well, no, see, because that to me, if you say space libertarianism, I think Firefly.
I don't know what Firefly is.
You've really?
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, this okay. We have to fix that one.
Okay.
So it's an unfortunately short-lived show. That when it originally aired like literally in the wrong order, and so it was super confusing and weird, and nobody really liked it. But it's like a cult following now, and it's basically like Star Wars with a more Wild West vibe. Like
Hmm.
it's as if it's picture a show about Han Solo and friends for the most
Okay.
part.
I'd be into that.
But like super heavily like Wild West themed, but also space. And starring and like his pilot is Alan Tudyk or however you pronounce the last name.
Hmm.
The guy from Resident Alien, and he plays like the chicken in Moana,
Okay.
and he plays like a whole bunch of other things.
Okay.
Yeah, great show. I can't. I honestly, it surprises me that you have never heard of it because
So
it's
have you
very
ever heard?
popular in the Liberty movement for sure.
So there are a lot of shows that I have not seen, and some even on
Fair.
purpose. Like, have you ever seen The Expanse? Like, that's a very popular sci-fi show that I refuse to watch specifically to make the boys mad. The boys being my friend group, they're all men. I specifically have not seen it just to piss them off.
I honestly have not even heard of it.
It's this really, really, really popular sci-fi TV show done by Amazon. And yeah, I've heard
Well,
great things about it, but I've seen the first episode, liked it, but I am just a horrible person, so
I mean, honestly, you lost me at the Amazon thing because I don't have Amazon Prime, and I
uh,
refuse to because Jeff Bezos has too much money. He doesn't need any mine.
I don't have Amazon Prime either. My mom does, and I just steal her Prime account. So
That is fair. I do that with Netflix and Hulu and basically everything else.
I pay for Disney Plus. My dad pays for Netflix. My mom pays for Amazon, and I get Hulu along with my Spotify account.
Hmm. I ditched Spotify for Apple Music, and
What kind of
I'm
crazy
not.
are you?
So, so what happened was I was broke, right? So I stopped paying for Spotify, and was back to like the regular Spotify account with the ads and everything, and wanted to kill myself, right? Because I'm just very impatient. And so I got like the notification that I from Apple Music for like the 3-month free trial, right? Because I hadn't used it yet. This was last year when I was in New Hampshire working for Tulsi. So I was like, you know what? Okay, let's try it out. Like 3 months of free. Like it's better that it's got to be better than Spotify. And honestly, what I liked, like, the reason that I stuck with it is because it works better with Siri.
I don't use Siri at all.
That's fair. I've just accepted the fact that the government and Apple and everyone else is spying on me 24/7, so I just use it.
Yeah, I hate things like that. I can't do it. I I don't know what it is, but like I tried to get into it with like the Google Home thing. I couldn't. It's too weird for me. I don't like I can't get over the idea of like the government spying on me. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like maybe I'm a weird conspiracy theorist, but it
Well, you know the
bothers me.
government's still spying on you even if you don't use Siri, right?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Like that's kind of where I was at, you know. I realized that no matter how much I turn off or like how little I use things, every word that I say in the presence of my phone is somewhere recorded somehow by something and can be accessed by the government if the government decides it needs it. I just like there's that little orange circle at the top of my phone saying that my microphone is on so often. I don't know why. I'll close every app. It's still on.
So, you know how people have that conspiracy theory that the vaccine is a microchip that the government is implanting in you? And you know what issue I have with that is
They don't
that
need a microchip.
they don't need a microchip. They already you already carry one around with you. And I was telling this to the boys on Sunday morning as they were all leaving the house, and I was just like this is just the stupidest idea I have ever heard in my entire life, that the government would need to implant you with a microchip when you already carry one around. And then my friend left his phone in the house, and he goes and he comes back to get it, and he was like, sorry, I left my microchip here.
That's great. Man, I cannot wait to be out there in Arizona and chill with your friend group. I'm very much looking forward to hitting up Oklahoma and Arizona this year cuz y'all are doing some cool stuff in both states for sure.
Yeah, God, there's a lot of people who want to hang out with my friend group right now. Whenever I tell
So
people
popular.
about my friend group, I don't know if you know Adam Petty, but he was working on the Joe and Spike campaign. He was one of the bus workers,
Mhm.
and him and I are like besties. And he's just like, I cannot wait to hang out with the boys. I'm like, everyone does. It's okay.
I'm very much looking forward to meeting Jeremy Todd's wife because I want to figure out how he like why. I just want to know why. You know, we've
First of
talked about
all,
this a couple of
she
times, but like marrying up is a track record.
She is the sweetest human being on planet Earth. But there's one thing you have to be prepared for, and that is animal photos and videos. She will give you and show you all of the animal photos and videos you have the heart to take in. Like, you will just be in the middle of a conversation and she'll just be like, dog. And you're just like,
I am okay with this. I am
it's
okay
great.
with this completely.
I mean, it's amazing. It's like, and you are so appreciative because, like, who does
Mhm.
not want to accept a random dog photo in the middle of a conversation?
Right.
Uh, but like, it is the best part of your day.
Uh, I'm very much looking forward to the Liberty Tour of 2022. Um, but more so this year. This year I get to lay the groundwork for that. But next year we're just going to be all over helping gubernatorial and congressional candidates run events and do fun things. So it's going to be a
Yeah,
good time.
I don't even know who's running for governor at this point in Arizona, because our normal gubernatorial candidate has decided to not run, and then my gubernatorial candidate has decided to not run. So I I don't know what's happening here in Arizona. I hope we can find someone. By the way, guys, if you live in the Arizona area and would like to run for governor, please contact someone, me or Lauren or Emily Goldberg or Alex Flores or someone.
Someone. I mean, I could think of two people who I would love to nominate for that race, but I'm sure they've both already considered and turned it down. So, uh,
At this point, I think Steve Remus should do it.
well, he's running for state senate, correct?
He was. He had to pull out his statement of intent because he had a job situation change.
Mm. That's
So
sad. Man, Arizona's was going good and then it's all
we
like
were
first
on the
Kim Ruff.
train and we were running full steam ahead. And then now it's just like all kind of come to a halt. And we've got Jeffrey Metrick, and that is it.
Mm.
Mm,
I mean, something.
no comment.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for it to be either Kokesh or Kim Ruff, or actually, scratch all that. Who I would prefer that it was. Um, I'm actually gonna space on his name as I'm saying that sentence. Um, yep, yep. This is just.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back. But definitely from the LP, I would prefer it to be either Kokesh or Ruff, because they at least have the chops.
Yeah. I would
Rob
love to see one
Schneider,
of them.
that's who I was thinking of.
Ah,
I would love for
yeah.
it to be Rob Schneider. He should run for governor of Arizona.
Mm. That would be a campaign I'd like to work on.
I'd move for that. Such high hopes for the Libertarian Party of 2022.
Is Matthew McConaughey still running for governor of Texas?
He's teased at it. I don't know that he's going to actually do it, and he hasn't said anything about what party he would consider running on. I would love for him to run on the LP line.
That would be very nice.
He is a libertarian. Like Matthew McConaughey is a libertarian. So is Schneider. So is Vince Vaughn. We have a lot of people out there that are libertarians, like fully and completely libertarians. We just need to like get them plugged in and actually have them do things with that word.
If only. In a perfect world.
I mean, we're getting there, right? We
are.
We have people like Russell Okung being a little bit more friendly to the word libertarian. Zuby is going on like libertarian podcasts. We've got Dave Smith is actually like part of the party now instead of just outside throwing rocks at the party. We've got people, we've got Phil Labonte and Spike Cohen and Eric July, and we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah. With Russell Okung, doing the whole Bitcoin thing. That was really exciting. I love crypto.
He gives me hope for the world and for the country and for like everything. I've said this before and I will say it a whole bunch of times, but like I was about to give up, and then his Twitter account, guys, follow this Twitter account because it will give you hope as well, because he posts a bunch of liberty things and it's so great. It's like I just scroll through his Twitter feed whenever I need hope and like happiness and a little bit of an echo chamber, but from somebody successful and famous and with a following.
Speaking of echo chambers, I didn't think I was going to bring this up, but somebody told me the other day that I drink the Kool-Aid of libertarianism. And all I have to say is that, I call out the LP enough and I criticize the people in the LP enough that David, do you think that I drink the Kool-Aid of libertarianism?
I mean, not from my experience. I don't think very many people do, if we're being honest. Like that's probably the worst. Like that's why we're a dysfunctional party, is because like 7 people have drank the Kool-Aid and one of them just lost a race to air. So we're not really, we don't really have people caught up in bullshit right now. We're all fighting about it. No one's drank the Kool-Aid. No one's smoked the peace pipe either. We're just fighting for no fucking reason. So I think we need to find a happy medium between where we are now and a cult that's like one of the other two parties, but I don't think really anyone's drinking the Kool-Aid.
My funny response to that was I have a libertarian podcast. It's my job to sound like I drank the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny part about that is the person who said that to me was a former communist. And I have to say, it stung a little. Former communist.
Interesting.
It stung a little. Yeah. It stung a little. And I was just like, I pulled up every single tweet I had where I was like condemning things LP National has done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, calling out Native American rights and different things. And I was like, maybe I was just self-affirming, but I was like, I just wanted to see, like, do I drink the Kool-Aid?
You gotta be like
right.
Justin Amash with that shit. Just like have your receipts ready to go. Just boom, 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 boom. Like every time. Because oh my gosh, that's my favorite part about Justin is he is always ready with those receipts. He is just, oh, you don't think I criticized Trump? Here you go. Get ready for 18 links of every time that I criticize Trump.
Gosh, I'll just have to start keeping a file folder.
Mm-hmm. He has. I bet one of his aides just does that. Just like keeps all of his tweets like categorized or something, so he can post those. That'd be dope if that's true. I want that person to work for me next.
I mean, it would probably be pretty easy. Just like every single time you tweet something, you just like have a Google Doc for like each topic, just like, Trump criticism, LP National criticism,
Biden criticism, Hillary Clinton criticism, George W. Bush criticism. Because for fuck's sake, we've criticized all of them. Like literally all of them. There's William Henry Harrison. He is my favorite president. He's the only one I won't criticize because
FDR criticism.
I mean, if you need to provide receipts for that one, you're not a good libertarian.
That's true.
That should be part of your personality.
I remember I was still a conservative Republican at the time, and I was in high school learning about FDR, and I was like, how the fuck did this happen? How did what?
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's just ruin a country. Let's criminalize an entire ethnicity. Let's just fuck everything up that we can find, and then call it a day, and just like pretend he's a fucking hero or some shit.
I don't want to know what goes through people's minds to make him a hero. I don't.
Mm-mm. Well, a lot of people think that the New Deal did some shit when it didn't.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's like everything, right? Like what are these stimulus bills doing? They are deflating the dollar and making your money worthless. But what do people believe that it's doing? Oh, well, it's putting money in your pocket, right? But it's making the money in your pocket absolutely fucking worthless. Oh, sorry. Can I cuss on here?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Absolutely fucking worthless. So they're preying on the unaware, everyday, average American.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened with the New Deal, and it's happening now.
Yeah. I would argue that what we're doing right now is at least a little bit less retarded.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, at the moment, we're not locking people up in literal concentration camps yet.
Right.
Yet being the key word.
Yet. There is that. And then also we're not like paying people to dig ditches and then go fill them back in. Yeah, we're just paying people. Like it legitimately makes more sense, at least a little bit. We're not just creating stupidity of work and just like, yeah, I don't know. I'm personally putting the money to good use. I feel like keeping this show afloat and starting a new company and doing all sorts of fun things with Biden bucks. So we'll see. We're gonna use Biden bucks to make liberty a thing. Oh,
Sorry, my audio just suddenly like freaked out. I don't know what was going on with that.
all right. Well, you sound better now.
Good. Okay. There we go.
Yeah,
I was just sitting
that's
here.
actually hella clearer than it was.
Well, that's good. I'm glad about that.
Yeah. Always a good time with the computers is.
Yeah. So we were talking about stupidity, right? Everything that the government does is stupid. Period. Government exists. It's stupid, dumb. Like just period. I kind of forgot what we were talking about, but that's the gist of it. There we go.
Yeah. So I think that's why from the get-go with Liberty Unity, like the first hashtag we had was end the stupid shit. And I've loved it since the beginning, and I've heard a couple other people say similar things since then. I was actually on a clubhouse room the other night where somebody was saying we were literally discussing like what is the messaging that the LP should use, and somebody said like stop the stupid stuff, and I was like, how about end the stupid shit? Because it's just a little bit better in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, it encompasses our personality as well, which I feel like is the important part.
Right.
It takes away that professionality that the other two parties have. Because let's be honest here, we're the third child. We're not the, buttoned up professional Wall Street people here. We're the Wall Street bets of, everything. We're not.
Right. We
We're
really
not,
are. That is such our kind of energy.
like we're not over here, managing hedge funds, okay? We're here pushing Dogecoin, okay? And that's not a bad thing. Don't invest in Dogecoin. It's extremely inflationary. Don't do it. Invest in Bitcoin. Save your money.
Or both.
Or do both. Like, I'm not a financial advisor. Also, I'm just saying one has a market cap and one does not.
Yeah, Dogecoin could have all of the same problems that the US dollar has. It currently doesn't yet, but it could and probably will. So if you're going to invest in it, get out while the getting is good. Before
so
it
you
crashes.
See my point here.
I do, but I still think that it's a good investment for a little while.
A little while.
I don't think we're gonna use it as currency. It's not gonna replace the dollar, or it shouldn't replace the dollar.
If you ask Elon Musk, it's gonna replace the dollar on Mars.
I mean, that's fine. Maybe on Mars they can make a market cap for it.
Maybe. I don't know.
I will say the fact that the Dallas Mavericks accept Dogecoin for their merchandise is pretty fucking cool. Oh, and their tickets. You can buy tickets and merchandise to the Dallas Mavericks
Interesting.
with Dogecoin. Yes.
Well, okay, I don't pay attention to sports at all, so that would explain why I have no idea about this. But
well, the Dallas Mavericks are owned by Mark Cuban. So.
Oh. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was pretty on board with this stuff. Yeah. That was, I think, him and Elon and Russell were kind of, in my opinion, the three people that legitimized it this time around. But all the love in the world for Mr. John McAfee and what he did back in 2013 and 2014 to try to legitimize Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as the way of the future. I am sorry for laughing at you for 5 years. I regret it every day.
I have a close friend. I sent him a text before I announced that I was going to do the crypto series, and I wanted to let him know that I was apologizing for all of the stupidity that had come out of my mouth in the previous years when it came to Bitcoin. And if he wanted to be the first one to have any say on anything, he could be allowed to be that person, because he had to take the brunt of my stupidity when it came to crypto. And he declined.
Nice.
But I just wanted to do that because I know that he is the one person who has heard me say the dumbest shit ever when it came to crypto, because I didn't understand it.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what any of it was about. And I was like, crypto's gonna fail, and this is just so dumb, and all of this stuff. And
Yeah.
at this point, now that I've done my research, I'm like, oh, I get it now. And that's why I'm doing the series, and I'm trying to educate not only myself but my viewers on crypto. And I think back to those early conversations, and I think about how dumb I was, and I'm like, but that's like the learning process, right?
Mhm.
We grow and we learn, and sometimes those growing pains are a little harsh.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I kind of just thought it was a meme, right? I just thought it was a joke. I thought it was something for the nerds and the dweebs on Twitter and like, because it really was like, it was all the nerds that started this out. Like, or it was originally traded on a Magic the Gathering exchange site. Like, that's the first place you could actually buy Bitcoin online. Like, it was started by nerds and libertarians. Like, that's who made Bitcoin a thing. And I was just kind of like, meh, it's a joke, and I'm not going to put my money into a joke. At the time, I was also laughing at my friends for spending so much money on Magic the Gathering. I played Magic the Gathering, but or actually, when Bitcoin became a thing, that was before I started playing. Um, but I I just didn't want to put my money into a joke. But now I'm like, shit, I should have put my money into both of those jokes, because some of those cards that I had like 5 years ago are worth thousands of dollars too. So, should have.
I mean, I said the same thing about D&D, and I did a Star Wars 5e campaign recently. So, and all of my friends are like, let's do that again. So, and I would totally do that. I would totally get into D&D. I am into D&D. So I think it's just, like I said, learning and growing pains, and like kind of exploring who you are.
Yeah, I actually have never played D&D. Never once.
How are we friends?
It is a very strange fact about me, because it really is contradictory to my personality. I played Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I love like Doctor Who, Firefly, Community. Like I'm a nerd, but never
Okay,
played D&D.
the first step is Star Wars 5e. Like if you've never done D&D but you want to get into it, but you like sci-fi and all of that stuff, do Star Wars 5e first, because you're already in the Star Wars universe. So it's going to make a lot more sense because you know the universe.
So is it basically D&D for Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds way better.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I'm not the biggest fantasy guy in general.
Mhm.
Anyway, like Lord of the Rings is okay. Um,
First of all, I got absolutely destroyed this weekend when my friends found out that I've never seen Lord of the Rings.
Oh wow. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I fell asleep every single time I've tried to watch it. And
So you're not a real Christian kid or a real libertarian then.
first of
Like
all, we all know I'm not a real libertarian. Everyone knows that. Um I
how have you
mean,
not seen Lord of the Rings?
I like I said, I've seen it. I've just fell asleep. I have a sleep disorder. I fell asleep. I can't stay awake for that long.
I mean,
I'm
that
pretty
is fair.
I'm pretty
They are
open about
boring
it.
as fuck also.
I'm pretty open about it. I have idiopathic hypersomnia. So if something does not keep me stimulated for long enough, I will just straight up fall asleep. So it's boring. So I fell asleep.
I don't blame you at all for that. Honestly, yeah, I think Lord of the Rings is mediocre at best. I think there's a couple of other like similar series that are decent. But yeah, that's I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't gotten into D&D is because I know that it's in that world and like I don't know what the fucking orc is and I don't want to know what an orc is. Like or the difference between an orc and an elf and a like, I just no, don't need to know that. But if we're talking about Star Wars, which is things that I already know too much about, like way too much of my brain space is full of Star Wars facts already, then we're all right.
Yeah, that's why Will started me on Star Wars 5e because you can if you already know everything about Star Wars, you're set.
Yeah, I played way too many Star Wars video games growing up. So
Yeah, I did not. But I have enjoyed the movies and all of the TV shows a little bit too much for any human being ever.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I
um,
refuse to watch Mandalorian now.
good night, everybody. Have a great day. I'm never speaking to David again.
I'm kidding. I actually stopped watching it before the scandal happened just because I didn't have time to like keep up with it and I'm not signed into Disney Plus on my computer, just on the TV at my parents' house. So I only watched it when I was home. I hadn't been home for months and so I just and then now that like I don't know. I just try to stay off of Disney Plus as much as I can regardless.
The thing about like giving money to Disney is that you are giving money to Disney whether you watch ESPN, ABC, Disney, literally like Disney owns everything. So
Mhm.
I can't justify not watching Disney.
Mhm. See, I don't watch any of those things that you just named either, though. Honestly, like I very exclusively watch like a couple of things that are almost entirely under the the Fox umbrella, which isn't necessarily better, but it is different. Or it's the Fox NBC umbrella is a little bit different, and at least they
Yeah.
didn't like specifically directly protect Jeffrey Epstein. That's kind of like
So
where I'm at.
so a lot of people like the big thing with ESPN is sports, obviously. And in my family, like my dad has the ESPN pack, like he paid me for the special ESPN package on Disney Plus for rugby because rugby is huge in my family. And then
Interesting.
um I know, right? Like so when I say I don't watch sports, it's kind of a lie. So I watch a little bit of rugby and then I keep up with MotoGP.
Hmm.
So like ESPN is important in the family, but like not really, like not for what normal people watch ESPN for. There is no football, there is no basketball here. Like,
Mm-mm.
we don't, like, I work at a sports venue, like for both barbering and my normal job, and people are like, oh, can you put on the game? I'm like, What
No.
game? Could you
Which
be a little
one?
bit more specific? Game with ball? What kind of ball? I don't know. Like, what is ball? I do not comprehend. I work in politics. I don't know. I blame politics for everything. I'm like, I work in politics. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I grew up around sports, but I basically stopped giving a fuck probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I was in California for the beginning of the football season, and so I started off as a 49ers fan because I was there and I was staying at an Airbnb where people were 49ers fans, and so I was a 49ers fan for like a month. That's all of the sportsing that I did until like the last 3 weeks of the playoffs.
I grew up in an All Blacks household. All Blacks is the national team of New Zealand for rugby. And so I grew up
That
in a
sounded really racist. Holy
I know.
shit.
I know. How do you think like yeah, the New Zealand All Blacks is a rugby team. Uh and so
Wait,
I
are they all black though?
no.
Okay.
Their uniforms are all black. I don't know where the name came from. I don't know. But they are the best rugby team of all time. Do not at me. I've seen them win enough world championships to confirm. But yeah. So New Zealand All Blacks, and then don't at me. Mark Marquez is the best MotoGP rider there is. Don't at me.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. I will. I'll throw this up here so they actually can at you if they feel like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead and at her if you disagree with either of those two things that she said. Yeah, I honestly I can say with pride that I've never really followed rugby that much. I've watched a few games. It is an interesting sport. I am a fan of the alternative versions of football. Like there's like and I don't mean that in like a reductive way, but I really do like I do actually kind of enjoy rugby. I enjoy actual football. I enjoy Canadian football, which is really interesting, and Australian football, which is super weird and basically Quidditch.
Hmm. Okay.
It's yeah, Australian football is like the weirdest mix of sports, and it's dope. I did a report on like the sports of the nations or something like that. I did in like 8th grade or whatever the fuck. And so I actually had to like study the rules of Australian football. And the best way to describe it to you is it's basically Quidditch. And like it's a mixture between like American football and rugby and Quidditch, where you get the ball down the field and then have to basically punt it through one of three uprights, like while running. Like you're just like run down the field and then kick it through like uprights to score.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I kind of want to play this. I would suck, but I want to play this game. So I really want to go to Australia and play some football.
Dang. Yeah, my dad was always really disappointed that I never played rugby, but I was always just more interested in dance.
So what kind of dances did you do, or do you do?
I am a professional hula dancer, and I am a competitive swing dancer.
Okay,
And I do like almost every single kind of swing you could imagine.
almost every kind of swing. All right, that
West
was
Coast,
that was my next question. Was
yeah.
what kind of swing? So
West Coast, East Coast, Lindy Hop, Collegiate Shag, Carolina Shag, St. Louis Shag. I think that's it. Maybe that's not. I don't know. Jitterbug, Drive, Balboa.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I actually just recently discovered that West Coast Swing existed. I had actually never heard of it like a year ago. And
Don't
it's
Google me. Please don't.
oh I
Don't Google me on YouTube.
I will be doing that now for
My
sure. For
videos,
sure,
my
for
West Coast
sure.
Swing videos may or may not come up.
Okay. So there will probably be some links to those in the description to this
Please,
video.
no.
We'll see. I'm kidding. But I will definitely look those up. But yeah, I honestly I had never heard of it, which is really weird because uh I kind of sort of liked dance growing up. My sister was really into it, but not necessarily like neither of us were great at it, but she was super into it. And she was really into like choreography and actually like, wanted to do that professionally someday. And so, especially growing up in the church, there's a lot of avenues to do dance things, right? So she was doing like interpretive dances for the church and like through our homeschooling groups and through youth group and like all these different things. And then for talent shows, her and I would do like dance things together. There's this thankfully does not exist on the internet anymore because I made sure that it got taken down. But what used to exist on the internet was a video of me and my sister performing Bop to the Top from High School Musical together.
Oh, that needs to exist on the internet again.
So that actually happened twice because it was like the first thing we ever did together, like on for a talent show. Probably, I think I was in like sixth grade or so, which meant she would have been like a junior. And then we did it again my senior year of high school, or well, my junior year of high school because I graduated my junior year. Uh, so that exists somewhere in the data world, but I don't think it exists anywhere on the internet. Thank God. But yeah, I'd never really heard of West Coast Swing, and I'm glad that I found it because I think it is a little bit out of my wheelhouse of skill, but it's definitely a more achievable goal than any of the other things that I've looked at. It's just more my style. Like I tried to get into salsa for quite some time, and I was actually half decent, but it's way too choppy and I just found myself not really ever able to get into it. Where uh, West Coast Swing seems to be a little bit more how I dance naturally.
Have you taken any in-person West Coast Swing classes yet?
Not yet, not yet. I found this
Okay.
after COVID became a thing, and so it has been entirely YouTubing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was going to say you're in New York, so you have Robert Royston out there, who is a phenomenal gentleman. He is one of the sweetest men out there and an amazing teacher. I cannot recommend him highly enough. He's actually one of the former dance partners to my main coach at the moment, Laureen Baldovi. And if you ever look up Fever by Laureen Baldovi and Robert Royston, it is the all-time best performance of West Coast Swing ever. But he's one of the coaches out in New York and phenomenal teacher. He comes out, pre-COVID, he came out to Phoenix every single year for Phoenix 4th of July and would MC our event. And he is one of the best MCs there is in the business. He is he's a choreographer professionally and did a lot of Broadway and stuff like that. Phenomenal man. But no, I got into West Coast Swing when one of the alumni of my high school was he won a couple of US Opens, and then he came back to my school and like choreographed for us a couple of times. And I was like, hey, I want to do that because I was in the ballroom program. And so I started taking lessons from him. And then like I started winning awards and stuff like that, and I just kind of kept going with it. And I competed at the U.S. Open Swing Dance championships multiple times. Did not win anything.
That's still pretty fucking awesome, though.
Thank you.
Like you're just like, yeah, I wanted to do that, and then I was doing it and competing in like championships. It's like, man,
yeah.
you said that so nonchalantly. You were just like,
I did
I
it at
came,
like
I saw, I almost conquered, but I didn't.
I did it at like 16. Like it was literally like something I did. Like I went, I did it, and then I was like, okay, move on with my life, you know? Like I don't know how to explain that. It was so weird because it was like at the time like the goal of my life, like the highlight of my life. And it's so weird to look back on it now and just be like, yeah, I did that, and then move on with it, because it was honestly when I performed a routine at the US Open, that was the goal. That was the goal, to perform a routine and put a routine on the floor. And the best friend who I always refer to, he was the one who I actually intended to do the routine with. I didn't end up doing the routine with him. I ended up doing a routine with someone else. And that's the video that you can find online if somebody wants to be savvy enough and find that. And it was really hard because I had that weekend, I lost my coach. I got kicked out of my hotel room. I had nowhere to stay. And I had a sprained ankle. And I had 3 performances that weekend. And I had to like figure out what to do at 17 years old. And it was insane. And like I look back on it now and I think about how strong I was that weekend and how I got through it all, because I was older than my dance partner at the time and I had to put on this brave face for him and like just pretend like absolutely nothing was wrong. And like now I look back on it and I'm like, she was so strong and she did so great. And that's what like pushes me forward, not the fact that like I went to the US Open and like I did this crazy amazing thing, but it's like that strength is what I look at, and not like the thing that I did, like, oh, I went to the US Open and I put on a routine, like that's so amazing. It's like I look at that strength that I had. That's what I look at. So it's like hard having that different perspective from people, because people see the routine and they're like, oh my God, you did that. And it's like, no, you don't see like the 10,000 other steps that I did to put that routine on the floor, because I didn't have a ride home. I didn't know how I was going to sleep that night. Like I stopped competing after that because there was so much uncertainty that, and then COVID happened. Like when I decided to get back into swing dancing, I had in 2020 3 events lined up. So that all got canceled. Like, so I'm just not into, like, I just got back into swing dancing because Arizona just opened up again. But like, I'm so grateful for that. But at the same time, it has been an emotional roller coaster because I just have to go back to that point of like facing that uncertainty and like getting over those fears of like, is this all going to happen again? You know?
Yeah. So I can't say that getting into politics is the best solution if you don't want to get stranded somewhere without a ride home or knowing what's going on.
I'm an adult now, right? I'm not a 16, 17-year-old girl who has to rely on coaches to be the adult for you, right? Like I had to really step up and like find my own way. Whereas like now I'm an adult who makes my own way. And
This is true.
You know, I can book my own hotel room now. I can drive myself. I can do those things myself now. And I feel great, like knowing that I'm confident enough to say that. And like, I make enough money to like book my own hotel room and stay by myself. Like, I like having that feeling of confidence now, but like it's kind of crazy like seeing that difference, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm willing to get back into swing dancing because I have that confidence in myself, whereas like I had to wait that amount of time so that I had that growth.
Hmm. Sorry.
No, please.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely relate a little bit. I'm kind of going back into an old venture right now as well, and it's been about a year and a half, almost 2 years. I was a CEO in the finance world for about 2 years. Was not terribly successful. I kept myself afloat, and then went back to working for other people uh, real quick before I got out of the entire industry and started and ran for office. But now I'm dipping my toe back into the waters of that because I now actually have the experience, the support system, like the people around me that can make this a real thing this time. Last time I actually came close to copyright infringement with my company's logo,
Mm.
um, and which luckily never really got printed or put on anything. Like I never made business cards. Nobody like really like it was a pretty unsuccessful business that mostly operated off the phone and on emails. So nothing that where copyrights would have actually been infringed, thank God. But the company's name was Umbrella Funding, and the logo looked almost exactly like the Umbrella Corporation from fucking Resident Evil, because that's how much like design skills that I have. It was a different color scheme, but it was the same kind of idea. And now with this one, I had texted a friend and I was like, "Hey, I have no idea what I want for a logo for this. Just like go crazy, and like give me some ideas. Like I don't even want to input on this because you're better at this than me." She came back literally hours later with like a bunch of awesome ideas, and I'm like, "All right, this is gonna be a thing."
Can we talk about how hard it is to own a business?
So fucking hard. I'm in New York
So
State
hard.
where it is lots of dollars
Mm-hmm.
just to get the LLC, which is 100% necessary for me. Like that has to be step one. I need an EIN and a bank account because I need to sign contracts like before I can do anything. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like for me, when I didn't even have like a business. I had my chair, which had to be its own business, which is so crazy because I was a business within a business.
Mhm.
And I had to have my own EIN and I had to have, an S Corp and I had to have all of these things so that I could file taxes. And it was insane to have all of this expected of me. And you're just sitting there and you're like, people would ask you, they're like, well, you own your own business. Like, why don't you have your own salon? And it's like,
Because that's a whole other fucking thing, people.
yeah.
Do you know how many other hoops you have to jump through to do that?
Yeah. And the thing is like you said, one of the most important things is a support system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly why I had to fucking leave. Like, because everyone, like one of the biggest comments that I got was like, well, you just charged too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I charge what I charge because that's what I have to charge to stay afloat. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
well,
yeah, the market sets the price pretty like there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but not much. My sister actually just graduated from cosmetology school a few months ago, and so uh wow, actually it's probably been she's probably like 6 or 7 months into her first job.
mhm.
She's actually works for JC Penney's salon, which is kind of nice. It honestly, it's perfect for her because it gives her uh, things for her little ADHD self to do. I mean, she doesn't actually have ADHD, that, but like she can go out and like wander in Penny's real quick and like make friends with people that don't actually work with her, uh, and also get an employee discount at JCPenney's, which is a good selling point for her to like behave and stay there. um, and so it's been great so far. But the concept that you have to go to school and pay a fee, and keep up all of this bullshit to cut someone's fucking hair and get paid for it.
So for me, what's really hard is like I did all that, right? And then after that, I was given a scholarship to an international school where I went and did extra education, which I'm very excited. Like, I'm proud of myself that I went and I did that because now I can basically just walk in anywhere and say that I did that. And I basically just get handed a job because it's a very well known salon out here that I went to. And people are like, oh, you worked there? Here's a job, you know? But like, I also like, I just think about how like much that international school did for me that it didn't cost me any money, cost me a lot of heartache and like emotional pain and mental health. But the schooling that cost me, because I did that in high school, and it was a high school program, cost me $6,000, because like the difference between what those two things do for me, they're like, oh, you have a cosmetology license, goodbye. You have a Rolf's Hair Salon certificate, abso-freaking-lutely, you're hired. I don't even need to see a haircut. You start tomorrow. Like,
the thing is, you still need that first one.
Yeah.
Legally,
they're like, you need the cosmetology license, but
Yep.
the $6,000 license does nothing for me. The 6-month like grueling thing, but it's like, if we never needed that license, like either way, I still would have probably done that 6-month grueling program, and that still would have done more for me in education, because every single time I talk to somebody about hair, they're like, you know so much about hair and the body and everything. And it's like, yeah, I never learned any of that in school. I learned that on my own time.
We need to do. This is one of the things that I think libertarian messaging misses out on. And I did a video about it like a year ago now, almost. Actually, we're coming up almost on the 1-year anniversary. And one of the first things that we did on the channel, I did a whole episode on Rand Paul, because he was being really dope this time last year, right? Before he became shitty again. And one of the things that he did before he went to Congress was he actually created an entire other like board of ophthalmology licensing in Kentucky, to compete with the federal, like the normal one. And because in Kentucky you don't actually need these licenses to operate, like Rand was able to just let his licensing lapse with the like government licensing organization, and have one from his own thing, and people accepted that. Like, people still went to him, and there was a bunch of other ophthalmologists that in Kentucky that did the same thing. And although it was never actually recognized by the government, like in Kentucky it doesn't fucking matter. And like, that's some seriously libertarian ass shit. And I didn't realize that Kentucky was so cool. I found out this year, actually just recently, that Kentucky also has like opt-in sales tax and opt-in like, so as a municipality you actually can opt out of charging state sales tax at all in your city, and you just then don't get any of the benefits that the state would give you. So you
Yeah.
now have to like maintain your own road, like the state roads that go through your town and whatever. Um, but that's fine. Like as libertarians, it's like, okay, yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't want your help anyway,
You know?
so please go away.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I wish I would have known that. I feel like
Yeah.
every libertarian now just needs to take over a city in Kentucky.
Well, yeah. I think we're gonna. I think we should just build one,
Just
our
build a
own.
city in
Just
Kentucky.
build a
There's
city in
probably
Kentucky.
enough land to do that.
There is. There's some
Yeah, although
there might be some things in the works
I feel
that I
like
can't talk about on air.
I feel like it's a little bit too cold for me there. I
Mm,
I don't like the cold. I'll just come spend the summer months there.
there we go. Spend the winters in Arizona and the summers in Kentucky. That sounds like a good life,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Um, that actually sounds like a really good life. I would be definitely down for that. But yeah, I think that the idea of occupational licensing as a whole is one of the stupidest things that we have in our society, and it is something that the left and the right can really agree on.
Well, like the thing is the argument that was always presented to me in cosmetology school was like, well, how are these women or men going to know how to sanitize their tools? Well, that's a pretty easy thing to Google, right? That's a really easy thing to Google. Once we get past that point, let me tell you how many people, even who have their licenses, do not sanitize their tools. Let me tell you, everyone. Like, I've worked in 2 salons where like half of the people sanitize their tools. Maybe. And I've worked in a lot of salons. Okay, people. So
Probably now it's a little bit better.
no, no,
Really?
no.
Not even post COVID?
Not even post COVID. Maybe like the week after. So if you're worried about sanitation, a salon is not where you want to go. Unfortunately, the only time that people are ever worried about sanitation is when the board is coming in. Okay. I am one of
The
the few
same with
people.
restaurants.
I am one of the only few people who worries about sanitation, and that's because my godmother was a cosmetology school teacher, and I know her ghost is watching over me, and I will get slapped by a ghost if I don't. Okay.
I think
It is her Catholic guilt watching over me.
the Catholic guilt will get to you every time. Yeah, what people don't understand when we talk about the difference between a private licensing or government licensing for issues like this is, and it's a talking point that we use a lot for the Libertarian Party, but not really when it comes to occupational licensing, and that is that you are talking about a guy with a gun enforcing your bullshit. Whatever it is that you come up with, there is a person with a gun at the end of that. Once you start writing laws and start getting the government involved, regardless of how good of a thing you think you're doing,
Well,
as soon as it's the government, you're involving weapons and violence.
well, okay, so here's the thing about occupational licensing. It takes a while for a gun to get involved, right? So for a long time, I did not renew my license. A really long time. Actually, it was to the point when I cut Anthony Welty's hair. It was funny because he was like, "Oh, is that your license?" And I said, "Haha, I haven't renewed it yet." And I was so proud to tell him that because it's fucking Anthony Welty.
Nice.
And he high fived me. It was great. But anyways, but no, the state board came in. They saw that I had not renewed my license in over 6 months, and she just went, "Oh, just renew your license." There was no penalty. There was no fee. There was no guy with a gun. I feel like everybody makes this big exaggeration about there's the government enforcing these licenses with guys with guns, right? No, there's no guys with guns. They just it's like fee after penalty after penalty, and like there is no guys with guns. No one gives a shit. They just like it's literally just state fucking revenue. Like that's all occupational licensing is. They will just price you out of working in your own field. And you know what the thing about that is? You're just still going to work in it because you have to, because that's the only thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing about it is like I also work in the service industry as a waitress and a bartender. I have a Title IV license because that's what my job requires me to do, because I need to know how to properly serve alcohol as per the law.
Mm-hmm.
If I lost my Title IV license, there are other jobs that don't require a Title IV license that I could go still serve alcohol at.
Mm-hmm.
They could fine me and jail me for working that job again. And that's what they could do if they ever found out.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right that these are correctly not very high up on the priorities list for most police officers.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that it is higher on my personal priority list is in New York City, especially when I was running for city council in 2019, it was on a lot of people's minds because we were seeing the churro ladies getting arrested in the subway. It happened like 3 or 4 times in like a 3-week period, where one of these like 80-something-year-old Mexican women who were just selling churros out of a fucking laundry basket got like handcuffed and dragged out of the subway. And it's like, this is what your fucking FDA requirements do, like
See,
in practice. And it
we
was cool
just
because we had leftists like really rallying against it for the first time. I was able to like go to a leftist rally and be like, yeah, abolish occupational licensing, and people were cool with it.
in Arizona, we just don't have that problem because like
Mhm.
it's
Your cops aren't as
110
shitty
degrees.
as the NYPD.
No. It's like 110 degrees, and we just unfortunately do not have churro ladies in the middle of the street. And I'm very sorry for people who can eat gluten, and I wish we had churro ladies in the middle of the corners on streets. That would be a very good corner lady to have. You know, I would much rather have that than some ladies on corners.
And they're the nicest women too. Like you can have a nice little conversation with them too. Be like, "Hey, how's your day going?" Oh, yeah, well, it's the best. They're literally like the best humans. And yeah, I definitely, it's different when you live somewhere like New York City or Detroit or Chicago or one of these places with these just absolutely horrible police departments that are just corrupt to the bone and actively violent when they don't need to be. It's a lot easier to sell or it should be, I think it's a lot easier to sell libertarianism and with those talking points of like a guy with a gun, because you're seeing it, you're actually like watching those guys with those guns do terrible shit like literally every single day. Like if you live in New York, all you have to do is walk around. It's going on in Austin right now. I watched a video from today where these cops literally picked this woman up out of a wheelchair and threw her on the ground.
I think that was from yesterday because I saw that last night.
You might be right. I just saw it today, so you're probably right. I'm a little bit behind on the times. I've been off of Twitter for like a day and a half because Twitter is.
I mean, I took like a week off of Twitter. It's fine.
I need to take more days off of Twitter, but when I do, my follower count takes a hit every time. So I'm like, I'm in that. Like, which is more important, the brand or my mental health?
You keep tagging me in things, my numbers just keep rising, so I'm not complaining.
Well, you're like I love your show. You're super cool,
Thank
and
you.
I'm super happy that you were able to come on the show today.
Well, thank you. It has honestly been really fun.
I was not expecting my appearance on your show to be a like 3.5 hour conversation. But that was a thing that happened, and that was a great day.
That
Uh,
was fun, honestly.
I drank an entire pot of coffee in one sitting, so that's a thing that happened.
Hyper David. Everyone needs to see that.
Hyper David. Well, before we go, I just want to give you a chance to pitch your show and what you're doing and anything else you're doing with the Arizona LP. Tell people how they can help you out, how they can get involved. Go.
Yeah, so I do a show every single Wednesday called Coffee Talks. You can watch it live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all those kind of fun places, Periscope, whatever. I am on Twitter at Barbie for Freedom if you like some hot takes and spicy jokes. I currently just recently revoked my own title of the Arizona LP First Nations Advisory Committee Chair. So we are currently looking for a replacement if you would like to step into that role. We are also looking to fill some candidates to run. So contact me, Lauren Schneider, Emily Goldberg, Alex Flores, those kind of people. But yeah, other than that, follow my Patreon at Leilani or patreon.com/L4F, or just follow me on all of the socials, float.app. I don't even know what it is. It's probably in the links somewhere, honestly.
Yeah.
But anyways, my show Coffee Talks is like comedians in car getting coffee, but there's libertarians, and that's even better.
Yeah. It is truly a wonderful time with some great conversations. So go follow her on everything. There will be a link tree and any links that aren't in the link tree in the description below. Leilani, thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you fix that right the freaking now. But until then, but we will catch you back here next time with some more liberty and some more fun conversations and some more cool people.
Hey fighters, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. If you want to learn more or get involved, go to fightforliberty.com/join or reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Fight for Liberty. If you want to help keep the show going, Patreon and Cash App are the way to do that. We'll catch you back here next time. Until then, keep up the fight.